The engine coughed, stuttered, then went completely silent. Now stuck on a lonely dirt road surrounded by nothing but fields, Sarah Bennett hit the steering wheel in frustration. Her expensive dress clung uncomfortably in the summer heat, and her high heels sank into the dusty ground when she stepped out. This was supposed to be a quick shortcut. Now it felt like a nightmare. Just as she looked around helplessly, a figure emerged from the tall golden crops. A man, wearing worn-out boots and holding a greasy wrench, walked toward her without saying a word. He didn't ask questions. He just looked at her shiny car, raised an eyebrow, and went back to his truck for tools. Sarah didn't know who he was, and neither of them knew how much this moment would change everything. The man was Tom Miller, a farmer who had spent his whole life battling dry spells, debts, and the slow fading of his family's land. His father had passed away still believing the farm could survive, and Tom wasn't about to give up on that dream. Every day was a fight against the weather and the bank's warnings. When Sarah's fancy car stopped near his field, Tom almost ignored it. City people usually brought trouble, not kindness. But something in Sarah's eyes, a mix of frustration and honesty, made him want to help. He didn't expect anything back, no thanks or gifts. Helping her felt like the right thing to do, even if it might lead to more trouble than he wanted. The next day, to Tom's surprise, Sarah came back. This time she wasn't dressed like someone from the city. She wore simple clothes and held something in her hands, a homemade pie. "It's not great," she admitted with a nervous laugh, "but I wanted to say thank you." The pie was terrible, but her effort meant more than perfect flavor. No one had thanked Tom like that in a long time. She kept coming back, asking about the farm, the crops, even his old tools. At first, Tom didn't understand why she cared, but with every visit, her interest seemed real, and slowly he started looking forward to seeing her car drive up the road. Sarah asked more questions with every visit. She wanted to know why Tom wouldn't give up the farm, even when it looked like everything was falling apart. She listened closely when he talked about his father's dreams and the history behind every corner of the land. Tom didn't know why he trusted her, but he did. It felt easy, like talking to someone who really cared. Then, one afternoon, while they were sitting on the porch, she mentioned her last name. "Sinclair," she said casually, sipping iced tea. Tom froze. That name wasn't just familiar, it was a wound. Richard Sinclair was the man who had tricked Tom's father out of their best land years ago. And now, the girl he was growing close to had that name. Tom couldn't stop thinking about that name, Sinclair. It echoed in his mind like an old warning. Years ago, Richard Sinclair, Sarah's father, had crushed Tom's family with one bad deal. He'd taken the most valuable part of their land through tricks and lies, leaving Tom's dad broken. That deal changed everything. And now, the daughter of that same man had walked into his life, smiling, helping, asking questions. Was it just a coincidence, or was Sarah part of a bigger plan? The more Tom thought about it, the more doubts crept in. Maybe her kindness wasn't real. Maybe she was just here to get information for her father's company. What if every word she said, every visit, every smile, it was all a trick? Tom's heart sank under the weight of old pain. The trust he'd started to build began to crumble. He wasn't sure what to believe anymore. A few days later, the letter arrived. Tom held it in shaking hands, an official eviction notice from the bank. They were done waiting. He was losing everything. His heart pounded as anger and fear rushed through him. That night, as the sun dipped behind the fields, Sarah pulled up like she always did. But this time, Tom didn't greet her with a smile. He walked straight up to her, holding the paper. "Did you know?" he asked, voice low but heavy. "Was this all just some game your family plays?" Sarah looked confused, then hurt. "What are you talking about?" she asked. But Tom turned away. Whether she knew or not, it didn't matter now. The damage had already been done. Sarah didn't wait. She stormed into her father's tall glass office the next morning, her hands gripping the eviction papers like they were on fire. "You knew, didn't you?" she said, her voice shaking. "You knew this land belonged to Tom Miller." Richard Sinclair didn't flinch. He leaned back in his chair and simply said, "It's just business, Sarah." But this time, she didn't accept it. "You're destroying people's lives and calling it business?" Her eyes filled with tears, but her voice stayed strong. "I met him. I saw what this farm means to him. You took enough from that family already." Richard said nothing. For the first time in her life, Sarah stood up to him and walked out of that office with a decision that would change everything. A month passed. Tom stood on his old wooden porch, staring down the dusty road. He didn't expect to see her again, not after what had happened. But there it was, Sarah's car, rolling toward him through the heat. She stepped out, holding a folder tight in her hands. "I brought something," she said softly, walking up to him. Tom didn't move. She opened the folder and handed him a paper. It had signatures, legal ones. "It's not everything," she said, "but my dad's company won't be touching your land again. I made sure of it." Tom stared at the paper, then looked at her. His heart beat faster, not with anger this time, but with something he hadn't felt in years: hope. Tom looked at the signed agreement in his hands, then back at Sarah. For a long moment, he didn't say anything. Then finally, he asked, "Why would you do this?" Sarah smiled, her eyes bright but calm. "Because some things matter more than money or business," she said, "like doing the right thing." The wind moved gently through the crops behind them. Tom nodded slowly. It wasn't just the paper that changed things, it was her. After years of struggle, anger, and loss, someone had finally stood up for him. And for the first time in a long while, Tom Miller believed that maybe, just maybe, second chances were real.